Data in the modern era is what oil was in the Industrial Revolution, and that's why we're making an exception today, and we're talking about a press release. Usually lots of earnings calls, but today I think it's prudent to talk a bit about the press release that came from a PRCH group, because this is something that we've talked about in the channel for quite some time now. It's the advantage of the data that PRCH group has from home inspections, all the different water damage signs, electrical cords, all of this that come from people moving from one place to another and the home inspection being done. Well, this data can be utilized in insurance. As we've seen, they're very, very profitable, but they can also license this data to other insurance operators and make a profit from this. So in this case, they are going out with the number 95 million in profit opportunities, so not revenue, but bottom line in that case. I think that should be taken with a grain of salt. Of course, it's a big market. There's very, very large upside here, but they're not going to unlock all of this instantly. However, it's important to point out this area because this is where the software shines and where it can continue to grow. It's a high margin product, and if they expand this, well, then the price to earnings multiple that we have today of roughly 30, they just flipped profitable, so they got the price to earnings ratio. So perhaps some analysts on Wall Street are watching this because, well, PRCH Group showed up on the Bloomberg terminal, and wow, I gotta scramble and find out more about this micro cap. But more than likely, it's gonna get more on Wall Street's radar when they get to 5 billion in market cap and they become a small cap stock. So still micro cap, still very, very small, 2.2 billion in market cap as I'm recording this video. Alright, just quickly the story here. I'm gonna read a bit for those of you who are listening in so that you can keep your headphone in and perhaps, do something else while watching the video. So on September the 2nd, PRCH Group announced that its Home Factors Property Intelligence platform, so all the data of the home inspection, has completed testing with multiple new insurance carriers, and the analysis demonstrated delivery of consistent, high-impact results generating return on investment greater than 20x across each carrier. So from a sales perspective, basically they've tested it, they've done sort of a proof of concept is what this means. They're not going full scale, but they're using it on some of the underwritings and then evaluating the results from that. So that's basically what's going on in this case. So this has enabling insurers to gain a comprehensive view of nearly 90% of homes across the United States. All right, so good amount of data. A little bit more about home factors. This provided insight here to over 88% of the carrier's policy data. Analysis identified segments with 23 to 50% higher loss ratios tied to attributes such as signs of water intrusion, electrical panel size, and signs of electrical repairs needed, among others. So we're getting into this loss ratio. I've talked a bit about it earlier. I think that, for example, Lemonade, they're losing way too much on each dollar in insurance premium, how much you get to keep, and then you have the loss ratio. So you want to keep as much of that premium as possible. So each dollar that the consumer pays you, you want to keep, ideally a dollar. You don't want to pay out anything, 0 claims. That's, wow. But of course, that's not real world. Some of it is going to be paid out. And the more you pay out, the worse loss ratio you get, basically. So in this case, what this basically means in plain English is that the insurance companies get to keep more of that money that customers are paying to them each time they have this home insurance up for renewal. So of course we see value in this from the insurance perspective, and because it delivers value in the form of cost savings and profitability, well, then PRCH Group can charge a good amount of money for this in the market. Shining through the power of data once again. This is the same thing I looked for in Palantir when I worked at Dell Technologies, and I saw how segmented silos of data were, and lack of communication between them. Modern era, we need to look at data to find good investing opportunities. So a quote here from the CEO, Matt Ehrlichman: "These results confirm the power of unique property condition data in driving smarter, more profitable decisions." Well, of course, perhaps somebody at PRCH Group watching this, checking in been talking about data for a long time, and when they talk about this, investors love it. The stock had a great day yesterday, continued up a bit today as well, but this is the type of company that you need to be in the modern era to be profitable, to not only survive but also thrive. So traditional data sets do not provide property condition insights as compared to home factors, which includes data such as pipe type, window condition, signs of water intrusion, roof material and condition, and much more, empowering insurers to refine pricing, mitigate losses, and strengthen retention strategies. So refined pricing basically means that you give one price to a lower risk house, property, perhaps a bit lower, perhaps give them some discount to secure that home insurance, because very, very likely you're not going to have to pay anything to this person as an insurer. And then in more high risk properties, you want to have a lot of margin and you want to send out a very, very expensive quote. In this case, can leave these houses to, for example, Lemonade, who just have this app where you click and they don't gather a lot of data. Let them insure the high risk properties, let them insure out there in California, and let the pros here do it in a different data driven way. And just one more quote from the VP here, Michelle Teves, but that summarizes the press release. I just wanted to highlight it because the power of data, the value it has in the market, and you look at stock price and you're seeing it going to the moon. Well, there's always an underlying business reason, and the market is starting to discover more this reason, this value that PRCH Group has as a company, and it's getting priced more like it. So where we're standing today is a price to earnings ratio of roughly 30, so it just became profitable. And of course that's a bit higher, just a bit higher than the S&P average, around 21, 22, something like this. So we're pricing in higher growth in this. This has been communicated in earnings calls. They're going to more insurance carriers, they're expanding into new geographies. So we're expecting higher growth, and then this higher growth means that forward PE should be lower. But now we also have an added bonus here from the software side. Of course, we have a bit of a sluggish housing market with interest rates being high. Not a lot of people are moving, they're staying because they have a low mortgage. That could also be a bonus to this company. If people start moving more, they're going to use more of PRCH Group's services, the home inspection, more data. It's all tying in together in a big profitable circle for the company. So very happy as an investor right now. I think they should stick to this path, focus on this core. That's been it covering this video, and as always, I hope you guys make a ton of money, whatever investments you decide to make. Take care now, bye bye.